If you are into unique designs and future-proof features, then you might want to have a look at the new FiiTii HiFiDots Premium ANC earbuds with their zinc alloy case and aptX lossless audio support. Hi everyone, my name is Andy and you are watching Andy's Tech Tone. Quick disclaimer, I got the FiiTii bots from the manufacturer for testing, but no money exchanged hands and I'm completely free to say whatever I want about their product. Starting with the design, let's have a look at the battery case first because I find it particularly interesting. And that's mainly due to both the all-around metal shell and the opening mechanism of the lid. So, we get a zinc alloy case with a hefty weight and an undeniably premium feel. This thing is really built like a tank. No tank, however, comes with such a glossy coating as the HiFiDots. The manufacturer managed to keep the size relatively compact, so in spite of the hefty weight, pocketability is okay, and the case sits securely in my palms as well. The lid is somewhat unique too, as it pops open with a press of a button. The hinge is springy and sturdy enough to handle the weight of the lid, but unless you hold the case flat in your hands, it can get a bit wobbly. Taking the buds in and out of the case has a bit of a learning curve, as you have to kind of push and rotate them because the stems sit in a small socket, which is a bit tight, but at least the charging pins get perfectly aligned with the stems as long as you get the positioning right. Not the most straightforward way of handling the buds, but you can get used to it after a day or two. And on to the earbuds, they are small and lightweight at around 4.5 grams each. Long-term comfort is first class, and you get 4 sets of silicone tips to find the best fit for your ears. And speaking of fit, it's tight and secure enough for not too intense workouts, such as a Sunday morning run. The IPX7 rating is not only well above average as far as protection against sweat and splashes, but it also means that you could easily rinse the buds under tap water and you should be okay even if you accidentally drop them into water. Such a robust build quality and tight tolerances might be surprising, but if we pull back the curtain and look at who is behind the FiiTii brand, we will find Mifo, the manufacturer of some great sports earbuds. And that sporty heritage clearly shines through here as well. So back to the buds, they are lightweight and comfy, and you can see that we also got a few LEDs on the stems. These are not RGB lights, but in the app you can choose from 3 different light effects, which will work only when music is being played on the buds. And even though it is a cool feature, I don't personally think that it will be a key selling point. That will rather be the new Qualcomm 3071 chip with Snapdragon Sound and aptX lossless audio. And even though we know that the wireless headphones market is heading towards lossless music playback, which is great news, as far as I can tell, there is only a few earbuds out there supporting this new technology. So having it on board the HiFiDots is indeed a big deal. Now, the issue is that not that many compatible phones or source devices are available as of making this video. And due to the lack of such device, I could not really test it myself. Thankfully, however, the new chip also supports aptX adaptive, along with the usual AAC and SBC codecs, so all of your phones, be it Android or iOS, will work seamlessly with the FiiTii buds right now, and thanks to the new lossless codec, they will be playing nicely with all the upcoming and lossless capable hardware releases down the road. But other than the codecs, we also got some useful features with this new Qualcomm chip. There is mono mode, for example, where you can use each of the buds on their own, or multipoint support, where you can connect the buds to 2 devices at the same time. In multipoint mode, switching is prompt and smooth between the 2 devices, but it only happens manually with media playback, while it's automatic when a phone call comes in. The multi-device connection is platform agnostic, and the aptX adaptive codec remains available as long as at least one of the connected devices is compatible, so there are no quirks of any kind. Well, maybe a small one. You cannot disable multipoint in the app, so it's on all the time and cannot be turned off. Not sure if it's a bad thing, but it's worth mentioning nonetheless. Connection in general is solid with no signal dropout, lip sync is spot on with videos, and if you want a low latency of under 100 milliseconds for your gaming sessions, you can get that too with 5 quick taps on either of the buds. In terms of battery life, you can squeeze only 6 hours out of the buds with no ANC, and with the active noise cancellation turned on, it drops down to about 4.5 hours. It's far from excellent if you ask me, but that's one of the downsides of the small size and the advanced connection features, I believe. The total playtime with the case can be up to 30 hours, which seems to be more in line with the competition, and we get a 10 minutes quick charge feature as well, which can give the buds an extra 100 minutes of use. And that can somewhat make up for the rather poor single charge playtime. The case itself can be fully charged in an hour using the USB Type-C cable in the box, but due to the fully metal housing, wireless charging is not on the menu. All in all, the battery department delivers an average performance at best. Now, let me give you a quick audio sample from the built-in microphones. We got 3 mics on each earbud, and this is the audio quality you can expect from the FiiTii HiFiDots earbuds when making a phone call in a quiet environment. And here is another quick audio sample for you. This time I'm outside on the side of a not too busy road, and there is also a slight breeze, as you can see here. So this is the audio quality you can expect from the HiFiDots earbuds in such conditions. Onto the controls, you can find the touch-sensitive panel on each bud. The touch panels work well, with prompt reaction times and a decent level of accuracy. You can control play, pause, tracks and volume. You can also activate your voice assistant, manage your phone calls, switch between the different ambient modes, and turn low latency mode on and off. So as far as functionality is concerned, you could hardly get any better than that. But when it comes to remapping that functionality in the smartphone app, you will run into limitations. Of course, you can customize the controls, but only to a certain degree, as you cannot assign any function freely to any of the tapping actions, but you can only choose from a maximum of 2 different options for any given tapping action. That's not the end of the world, as we got all the control functions, but another kind of bad news is the omission of smart sensors and thus the lack of autoplay pause. Onto the FiiTii smartphone app, it is available on both iOS and Android, but while it's running reliably on my iPhone all the time, I had a few restarts and connection issues with it on my Sony Xperia, so I hope it gets fixed with a software update soon. But regardless of the platform, inside the app we can find some basic settings, such as the 3 ambient modes, the not-so-custom controls, and the lighting effects. There is a 10-band manual equalizer as well, which can help with tuning the sound to your taste, and an earplug test, which can tell whether you got a good seal with the tips you use or not. And talking about the perfect seal takes us naturally to active noise cancelling. The adaptive ANC on the HiFiDots monitors your environment and makes changes on the fly according to the surrounding noise levels. And while those changes can sometimes be abrupt and noticeable and not as seamless as on the AirPods Pro 2, for example, the adaptive ANC works okay. And we can use one of the 3 ambient modes. Mild noise reduction is basically ANC turned off, strong noise reduction is the actual ANC, and there is a transparency mode too. The strong setting can tame low-frequency hums and rumbles pretty well, but it's not quite at the level of those top ANC buds, such as the AirPods Pro 2 or the Bose QC Mark II. And that performance gap opens up even further when it comes to blocking out higher pitch noises, which is not the strong suit of the HiFiDots. Transparency mode sounds digital and muffled, it's not natural at all, but I believe it's good enough for having a quick conversation without taking the buds out of your ears. All in all, I would say that certain earbuds costing half as much can do a similar job with noise cancelling overall, but the good news is that wind noise is handled pretty well across all ambient modes, so that's something the engineers got right. And to continue on the note of what the R&D team got right, let's talk about sound quality next. We got a 10mm dynamic driver for the lower octaves, and there are 2 balanced armature drivers to handle the higher frequencies. And that triple driver setup paired with a good selection of high-quality codecs results in a highly enjoyable sound. Well, it's enjoyable as long as it suits your taste in music. For example, the bass, while it's tight and agile, it does not go too deep at all. We don't get those sub-bass rumbles certain genres such as hip-hop, EDM or R&B would often require to be present. It's definitely not basshead approved, but in my opinion it's perfectly well tuned for acoustic bass, drums or guitars and those sort of things. Mids are well exposed and they are smooth and pushed forward in the mix. Vocals and instruments have a lot more energy on offer than what we are used to with the more popular V-shaped tuning. It's not the warmest sound either, as the upper mids get a mild boost, which brings out some extra detail and energy in that range. The highs are also clean and detailed, with more than enough sparkle and extension up top. The HiFiDots buds won't go crazy loud, but at around 80 to 85% of volume should still be plenty for anyone except for maybe the most hardcore volume junkies amongst us. And that's good news for the rest of us, as if you push it any closer to maximum volume, the highs can get a bit nasty at times. Not sure if it's compression or some sort of a distortion, and it's not always an issue, but with certain songs that are mixed a touch too hot, treble can get out of control for a moment here and there. Maybe it's the dual BA driver setup that gets a touch overdriven at full volume. And the same dual BA drivers are responsible for the unusual soundstage and imaging too. Not that the soundscape we get is not wide or spacious, because it is, but instead of being laser focused or tight, everything sounds kind of diffuse and airy. Separation between the individual pieces is definitely there, while all players, vocals and instruments are spread across the space not only between your two ears, but also beyond that. But again, it's all a bit diffuse and the whole fabric of the sound feels rather loose, if that makes any sense. So it's not your typical V-shaped, in-your-face kind of sound signature with extreme dynamics and an eardrum damaging punch at the bottom end, but it can be entertaining with its diffuse, bright and airy presentation. And to wrap things up, I have to say that the FiiTii HiFiDots left me with somewhat mixed feelings. First, I was immediately hooked by the case design and the almost overkill build quality. The IPX7 rating and the comfort of the buds are also impressive. The battery might not last all day and we get no wireless charging for our money either, but the new Qualcomm chip brings useful/future-proof features to the table. And even though there are better solutions on the market for noise cancelling, the adaptive ANC gets the job done, and thanks to the triple driver setup, we get an unusual yet highly entertaining sound. The smartphone app is not packed with features, but there is always the option to get new ones down the road. The aptX lossless codec is kind of groundbreaking, even if it's not widely available on the source side of things at this stage, but that's hardly the earbuds' fault. I hope to have a chance to test it soon enough so I can report back on what it adds to the already good sound, so stay tuned for that. For now, I would say that for $199, we get a well-rounded package with a hardware that does not only perform well today, but also has the potential to get even better over time. And that's my take on the FiiTii HiFiDots True Wireless Earbuds. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Feel free to leave a comment should you have anything to add or ask. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you all in the next one.